Jabihare Charatama Tava Kunjabihare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vinandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Yasam Tato Jadiraye Noshta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 5, and we start a new chapter, chapter 12, text 1. Rahugana Uvacha Namo Namakarana Vigrahaya Svarupatuchi Krita Vigrahaya Namo Vaduta Dvichabandhulinga Niguda Nityanubhavaya Tubhyam Rahugana Uvacha Namo Namaha Karana Vigrahaya Svarupatuchi Krita Vigrahaya Namo Vaduta Dvichabandhulinga Niguda Nityanubhavaya Tubhyam. Rahugana Uvacha Namo Namakarana Vigrahaya Svarupatuchi Krita Vigrahaya Namo Vaduta Dvichabandhulinga Niguda Nityanubhavaya Tubhyam. Rahugana Uvacha Namo Namo Karana Vigrahaya Svarupatuchi Krita Vigrahaya Namo Vaduta Dvichabandhulinga Niguda Nityanubhavaya Tubhyam. Rahugana Uvacha. King Rahugana said, Namaha. My respectful obeisances. Namaha. Obeisances. Karana Vigrahaya. To one whose body emanates from the Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. Svarupa Tucci Krita Vigrahaya. Who has completely removed all the contradictions of the scriptures by manifesting his true self. Namaha. Respectful obeisances. Avaduta. O Master of all mystic power. Dvichabandhulinga. By the characteristic of a person born in a Brahman family but not executing the duties of a Brahmana. Niguda. Covered. Nitya Anubhavaya. To him whose eternal self-realization. Tubhyam. To you. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. King Rahugana said, O most exalted personality, you are not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the influence of your true self, all kinds of contradiction in the Shastras have been removed. In a dress of a friend of a Brahmana, you are hiding your transcendental blissful position. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. From the Brahma Samhita, we understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam. Brahma Samhita 5.1. Rishabdev was a direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. His son, Bharat Maharaj, who was now acting as the Brahmana Jada Bharat, had received his body from the cause of all causes. Therefore, he is addressed as Karana Vigrahaya. End of purport. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Navobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyas Cha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. King Raghunath said, O most exalted personality, you are not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the influence of your true self, all kind of contradiction in the Shastras have been removed. In the dress of a friend of a Brahmana, you are hiding your transcendental blissful position. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So King Raghunath addresses here Jada Bharat. And since this is a new chapter which is starting, I will also read Srila Prabhupada's summary. Because Maharaj Rahugana was still doubtful about his enlightenment, he asked the Brahmana Jada Bharat to repeat his instructions and clarify ideas he could not understand. In this chapter, Maharaj Rahugana offers his respectful obeisances to Jada Bharat, who was concealing his real position. So that's today's shloka. The king could understand by his speech how exalted and advanced he was in spiritual knowledge. He very much regretted his offense against him. Maharaj Rahugana was smitten by the serpent of ignorance, but was cured by the nectarian words of Jada Bharat. Later, because he was doubtful about the subject discussed, he made further inquiries, one question after another. First, he wanted to be released from the offense he had committed at the lotus feet of Jada Bharat. Maharaj Rahugana was somewhat unhappy at not being able to grasp Jada Bharat's instructions, which were full of meaning that could not be understood by a materialistic person. Therefore, Jadabharat repeated his instructions more clearly. He said that on the surface of the globe, all living entities, moving and non-moving, were but transformations of the earth in different ways. The king was very proud of his king's body, but that body was simply another transformation of the earth. Out of his false prestige, the king was misbehaving toward the palanquin carrier. As a master toward a servant, he was actually very unkind to other living entities. Consequently, King Rahugana was unfit to give protection to the citizens. And because he was ignorant, he was unfit to be counted among advanced philosophers. Everything in the material world is but a transformation of the earth, although things have different names according to their transformation. Actually, the varieties are one and the same, and ultimately all these varieties are vanquished into atoms. Nothing is permanent in this material world. The variety of things and their distinctions are simply mental concoctions. The absolute truth is beyond illusion and is manifest in three features: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ultimate realization of the absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead called Vasudev, by his devotees. Unless one is blessed with the dust from the feet of a pure devotee on his head, one cannot possibly become a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jadabharat also told about his own previous birth and informed the king that by the grace of the Lord he still remembered all the incidences of his past life. Due to the activities of his past life, Jadabharat was being very cautious and was therefore assuming the characteristic of a deaf and dumb man to avoid mingling with the material world. Association with the material modes of nature is very powerful. The bad association of materialistic man can be avoided only in the association of devotees. In the association of devotees, one is given an opportunity to render devotional service in 9 different ways: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Bhagavatam 7.5.23. In this way, in the association of devotees, one can pass over material association, cross over the ocean of nescience, and return home back to Godhead. So this is Srila Prabhupada's summary of chapter 12, entitled Conversation between Maharaj Rahugana and Jadabharat. So it's interesting how here, first of all, in the Bhagavatam we find the same teachings again, and basically because King Rahugana did not understand everything properly, so Jadabharat again repeats the same. And that's something we can find in other places also in the Bhagavatam, and of course also in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavad Gita was, Krishna spoke all the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2. And at the end of chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita actually is over. Because Krishna has said everything. Was no need to speak something more. But then Arjuna has doubts and he asks a question at the beginning of the 3rd chapter. And in this way, Krishna explains everything in more detail and repeats his teachings over the next remaining 16 chapters or 15 chapters. So this, and from this we understand that repetition is an important aspect in teaching or learning. And also in Prabhupada's purport, sometimes people complain, Prabhupada says the same thing over and over again. But Prabhupada would say a repetition of a good thing is good. No, we have to have to hear things because it will sink deeper when we hear it again and again and yet another time. And so then Prabhupada just gives the summary of what will be discussed in this chapter, how actually all the varieties in this world are just transformation of the elements, mainly earth, because earth is the most gross element, so what we see is, of course, the other elements are also there. And then, just understanding that, of course, we don't say everything is illusion, but we say everything is temporary. and that the factual reality is beyond matter, and then also the importance of accepting a devotee as a guru. Only unless one is blessed with the dust from the feet of a pure devotee on his head, one cannot understand Krishna. And then about the importance of association with such devotees, and the performance of devotional service. So that's what is described in this chapter 12. So now let's go back to our text from today. Namo Nama Karana Vigrahaya Swarupa Tuchikrita Vigrahaya. Srila Prabhupada basically just focus in his relatively short purport. Prabhupada focus on the word Karana Vigrahaya. Right? Let me see. What is the word Karana Vigrahaya referring to? Remember? Karana. Yeah. And Vigrahaya means? Yeah, Vigraha. So basically, Chada Bharat, Karana Vigrahaya is another way to address Bharat, Chada Bharat. And Prabhupada explains because who is Bharat's father? Lord Rishabdev. And who is Lord Rishabdev? Incarnation of Vishnu. And who is Vishnu? The cause of all causes. And there is beautiful shlokas in the, I think, Rig Vedas and also in the Puranas. Prabhupada quotes some of these shlokas in his commentaries in the Bhagavad Gita. How at the beginning of creation there was nothing. There was no sun, there was no moon, there was no living entities, there were no planets, nothing existed. But Narayan was already there. That's the idea of cause of all causes. At the beginning of creation there is Narayan, and from him everything else is coming. And Prabhupada quotes here Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. And therefore the word let me see. Yeah, that's why the word Karana Vigrahaya refers to one who has taken birth from that cause of all causes. Prabhupada in the word for word says, to one whose body emanates from the Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. So Bharat's body came from that cause of all causes. And then, of course, Chada Bharat is also addressed as, you are not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the influence of your true self, all kinds of contradiction in the Shastras have been removed. So, of course, we understand how is Bharat non-different from the personality of Godhead?
Accepting him as spiritual master.
Yes, Shakshatari Tvina Samasta Sastrer. No? That's how the spiritual master is seen as non-different from Krishna in the sense that he is Shakshatari Tvina. And this is mentioned here. And that's something which is repeatedly emphasized in Shastra. Guru Krishna Rupana Shastrera Pramana Guru Rupa Krishna Kripa Hare Bhakta Gane. According to the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. Lord Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees. So it is stated in the Shastra that Krishna assumes the form of a guru. When Krishna showers mercy on someone, he does it as a guru. That's if someone has received mercy of Krishna, then it's manifested in the form that a guru appears in front of him. Therefore, the guru is very, very, heavy. He's not a lagu, not light. The word guru actually means heavy, and a shishya is very light. So, what does it mean? The guru is heavy, like a lot of kgs, like he has power, yes.
His knowledge and his state is very,
Yes, he's loaded with transcendental knowledge. He has very strong transcendental knowledge, a lot of knowledge, and that's why he's heavy. Heavy also in the sense of if you're heavy, then you're but nothing can move you. No? If someone is very heavy, you cannot just move him easily because he stands there. And the opposite of guru is lagu, and lagu means light. And that's what the conditioned souls, we are all lagu. And light means there is not much knowledge, not much transcendental knowledge. And that's why if Maya blows, then we are falling off, we're falling down. Just a little blowing of Maya. Whereas Guru stands still, he's loaded with transcendental knowledge. If he is a true Guru. Otherwise the Guru also can be. But the true Guru will not fall. So if a Shishya is qualified, the Guru can give everything to him. And he can reveal Krishna to him. So Gurudev, that's why Gurudev has appeared in this material world accepting, he has also accepted the father and mother. He also has taken a birth. But one should not consider him an ordinary person. Here is a nice example. Like Garuda, the carrier of Vishnu, he's very dear to Vishnu. And he was born from a bird. No? Similarly, Guru is very dear to Bhagavan, and he was born in this material world as a human being. But one should not think that Guru is ordinary. Just like we should not think that Garuda is ordinary. No? Garuda is not just a bird, but here is the carrier of Vishnu. So similar, Gurudev, a Bhakta, a very dear devotee of Bhagavan Krishna, is not an ordinary person. Gurudev has assumed a human form and is doing Acharya Lila in order to give everyone Premadhan, the wealth of love for Krishna. No? Spiritual master is doing Acharya Lila. He takes the role of an ordinary person, but actually he has been sent by Krishna to deliver the conditioned soul and to distribute prem. So that's the true Guru. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has made the point that there is two types of Gurus. Some are transparent and some are not transparent. That's basically the two kind of Gurus. And of course the true Guru is one who is transparent. He becomes a transparent medium through which Krishna can act, through which Sri Krishna Kripa Murti, he becomes a manifestation of the compassion of Krishna. That compassion, that mercy, Shakti, Kripa Shakti from Krishna, is working through such a Guru. That's why he's transparent. And transparent means there is no ego, there is no false ego, there is no, he's just, his desire is completely one with the desire of Krishna. And he simply becomes an instrument in Krishna's hand. And that's the idea, because as we said before, that Guru appears as, Krishna appears as Guru, This is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jive Shakshat Naita Te Guru Chaitya Rupa Shiksha Guru Hoya Krishna Mahanta Swarupa. Since one cannot visually experience the presence of the Super Soul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee. Such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. So Paramatma appears as the Guru. That means that Guru, the true Guru, is transparent. That means Paramatma directly works through him. And if the Guru is not pure, if he is not transparent, then Paramatma cannot really work through him, no? Because the false ego is in between. And therefore one should be very careful to accept a transparent Guru or a true Guru and not a bogus Guru. Nowadays you find many bogus Gurus, right? There is a nice shloka, I couldn't find it here, but it says that, I think Lord Shiva speaks to Parvati in one of the Puranas, and it says, in Kali Yuga, you find many gurus who are expert in taking away the money of their disciples. But it's very difficult to find a guru who takes away the miseries of his disciples. Just taking money away, that you can find many gurus who are taking away the money. But where is that guru who takes away the miseries of his disciples? That is true guru, and such a guru is not so easy found. Then in Bengal there is also a saying which goes like this. Let me see that I can read this here. Makur Macher Chol Yuvati Mer Kol Beta Hari Hari Bol. You know what it means? Eat magur fish, put a young woman on your lap and chant Hari Hari Bol. That means, that these are like kind of pseudo gurus who say, yeah, you can do what you want, just chant Hare Krishna. Like no rules and regulations. That's the meaning. You eat fish and you put a young beautiful woman on your lap and you enjoy life, and then you just also say little Haribol, Haribol. That will be good enough. But that's not true guru. True guru will speak from Shastra, and he will represent Shastra and Krishna, and therefore he will also give restrictions, he will give rules, regulations, so that the heart can become purified and that the disciple actually can make progress. And nowadays you find many, especially in India, of course, in every town you find a temple of a pseudo-guru who is called Purushottama by his worshipper. Oh, he's Purushottama. Purushottama means the best person. But actually there is Leela Purushottama, that's Krishna, there is Maryada Purushottama, that's Ram, and there is Prem Purushottama, that's Gauranga. So that's the Purushottama. Purushottama is Krishna, not just some Baba with a beard. So the true guru never calls himself Bhagavan or Purushottama. The true guru always sees himself as a disciple. He sees himself as a disciple of his guru, and he sees himself as a servant. That's one of the symptoms of a true guru, that he is, seeing himself as a servant and also connecting everyone to the parampara. Like that. So now here it says also, by the influence of your true self, all kind of contradiction in Shastra have been removed, right? So I think we all have made this experience that just by the influence of your true self, just by the influence of, sometimes you go to a sadhu, you maybe have many questions, and you go there and to have darshan, you sit down, you look at the sadhu, and then all your questions are answered even before you open your mouth, right? just because of the presence, of the influence of the personality, all the doubts are cleared, they're removed. And that's the duty, or that's the role of the guru. The guru is supposed to take away all doubts and clarify all misconceptions by his, sharp words, repeating Shastra. In this way, cutting off all misconceptions from our false ego. And that's the nature of a sadhu, the nature of a guru, that just simply by the association of such a personality, everything becomes very clear. And then it says at the end of this text, in the dress of a friend of a brahmana, you are hiding your transcendental blissful position. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So Bharat, and this will be later also described in this chapter, Chatabharat, he still remembered his past lives, and he felt like, let me in this life just focus on Krishna and not get involved in anything in the material world. And that's why he pretended to be deaf and dumb, and people thought he's like a foolish person, but actually he was fully Krishna conscious, but he just behaved like that, right? So that he will not be entangled. And so basically he was hiding his true transcendental position. But in this pastime, when he was carrying the palanquin, and then the king was so heavily kind of chastising him, then he kind of felt, okay, now I have to speak. Somehow he felt, I guess also out of compassion, this king is so ignorant, he's full of arrogance and pride, so let me help him. And that's why Chatabharat opened his mouth and actually gave him instructions. So it's interesting that sometimes sadhus, they hide, like here is described, he was hiding his true position. And so sometimes it's not so easy to recognize who is a sadhu, because not necessarily they are, not just because those who are famous are the great sadhus, and those who don't know, nobody knows, they are lesser. Sometimes you have great personalities who hide themselves, who are not so visible. And interestingly enough, sometimes even Krishna himself hides his pure devotees. Do you have an idea why Krishna is doing that? Why is Krishna hiding? Okay, maybe the sadhu. Of course, you could argue, well, if he's not able to deal with that, then he's not so great. like a pure devotee, although the whole world glorifies him, he remains completely undisturbed by that glorification, because he knows, I'm not this body, I'm not this personality, I'm an eternal soul, eternal servant of Krishna. He always remains humble. This is it's described by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where it says that Sudurlabha Bhakti is rare and difficult to achieve. So very difficult and very rare, especially Bhava Bhakti. Why is it so rare and difficult? There are two reasons pure devotional service is extremely rare and difficult to achieve. First, we cannot attain it by our own efforts. And second, Krishna is reluctant to give it. So Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti, the pure devotional service, is very difficult to attain, or it's rare, because we cannot get it by our own efforts, and Krishna doesn't like to give it so easily.
Krishna not prefer Kirtan?
Yeah, that's a different story. So, Srila Rupa Goswami describes in the Nectar of Devotion a characteristic of pure devotional service. What are the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service? Any Bhakti Shastri students here? Have you already studied Nectar of Devotion? Yes. The question was, what are the 6 symptoms, characteristic of pure devotional service, which are described in chapter? That's from the Bhagavatam, yes. Rupa Goswami describes in the first chapter. That defines the pure devotional service, Anyabilasita Shunyam. But there is another text which is called Klesh Agni Shupadha Moksha Lagut Krit Sudurlabha Sandaranda Visheshatma Shri Krishna Karshini Cha Sa. No? So Klesh Agni, the pure devotional service, relieves one from material distress. Klesha means, the problems or difficulties. They are removed. All the miseries, all the difficulties are removed by devotional service. Shubhadha, all auspiciousness is invoked by performing devotional service. Moksha lagut krit, even the happiness of a liberation is surpassed by bhakti. And then sudurlabha, it's very difficult and rare to achieve. And then we have two more, Sandarananda Visheshatma, that means the condensed bliss, happiness that comes from the self. And 6, Sri Krishna Karshini, that bhakti even attracts Krishna. Bhakti is so powerful that Krishna becomes attracted. So I mentioned now Sudurlabha, that bhakti is very rare, which is difficult to achieve, which is one of the symptoms of pure devotional service. And as we said, there is 2 reasons why it is difficult to attain, because you cannot attain it by your own efforts. It's not that, okay, you do A, B, C, and then you get the result. Of course, Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness is like, it's scientific, and you do this and that, and then there will be a result. Yes, that's there, but Krishna is not really forced to give you results just by mechanical practice of bhakti, devotional service. There needs to be something more, and of course that is bhakti. And bhakti cannot be just, bhakti is given. Now if Krishna sees our endeavor and is very pleased, then naturally Bhakti Devi will more and more manifest in our heart by the mercy of Srimati Radharani. But that's not something which we can kind of do it on ourselves. It's, of course, we endeavor, and by that endeavor we may attract the mercy, but at the end of the day it's mercy. That's why we cannot do it by our own efforts alone. And then the second point is Krishna is reluctant. So why is Krishna reluctant? Yes. Yes, Krishna becomes bound by bhakti. Krishna becomes bound by the love of his devotees. And that's why Krishna is not giving it so easily, because he knows once someone gets bhakti, then he is bound by that person. So why is Krishna reluctant to give it? Because he gets controlled. And Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji explained, Krishna sometimes can cover a pure devotee so that we do not surrender to him. It is very difficult to recognize a pure devotee, because when we approach a pure devotee, Krishna becomes a bit worried. He thinks, if this person surrenders to my pure devotee, even if he has impure motives, I will be his slave. Therefore, in order to protect himself and to test our motives, Krishna covers a pure devotee. He makes some show of defect. So, Krishna becomes bound by the pure devotees, but Krishna even becomes bound by those who take shelter of such a pure devotee, right? So, like ourselves, we might not be so pure, but if we accept a pure devotee, then also Krishna becomes, kind of bound by our bhakti, because we do it on behalf of that pure devotee.
That would mean that he has to hide all of them.
Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhra Shishigo Nitai Ki Jai. So then here it says, so it's interesting how Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji says, and Krishna becomes a little worried. Oh, oh no, this Bhakta, look at this Bhakta, he's so spaced out. But now he goes to my pure devotee. He surrenders to my pure devotee. If he becomes disciple of my pure devotee, then I will be bound by that person. I can't let that happen, that's too much. So then sometimes there is a show of defect. Externally it looks like there is a defect. And then Gorkishore Babaji gives an example. He says, Baba is disturbed by mundane people. So he asks a rich man for money, uses the money to pay a beautiful woman to sit in front of the house, and people criticize that the Baba associates with a young, beautiful woman, while the Baba sits inside the bhajan kutir happily, peacefully chanting his rounds. And of course, Gorkishore Das Babaji himself would apply these methods, right? He would prefer to sit in doing bhajan in a bathroom, which there was a bad smell. And a bad smell, people would not go there, but he would rather sit there and chant, because he felt, to associate with materialistic people is worse than having the bad smell. At least I'm at peace and can chant my rounds. Or I also heard the story that, I don't know whether it was Gorkishore Das Babaji also, who put some fish gräte, wie sagt man, like some dead fish bones in front, fish bones in front of the hut, where also bad smell comes. Very bad smell, and then people would avoid the house, and he would peacefully sit inside do bhajan, Hare Krishna. Quite extreme. Yeah, it's not that we're doing that here in Zurich Temple, like in front of the house, Yeah, but it's there's a show of a defect. People think there is a defect, but actually there is no defect. So in this way, Krishna sometimes covers a pure devotee, so that not everyone goes to him. So in this way, Jada Bharat was also covered. He was hiding. His true identity was hidden by his playing a Jada. Jada means like a dull person. He played the role of a dull person, but actually he was the most elevated personality. So in this way, his influence was hidden. But now, of course, King Rahuganath could understand the glories of Jada Bharat, and he surrenders unto him. That's why he says, Namo Namaha, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. And in this chapter 12, which we just started today, we will hear more about Jada Bharat's instruction to King Rahugana. And as we heard, especially towards the end, he will speak about the importance of accepting the dust of the feet of a pure devotee on his head, and association with devotees in order to attain bhakti. Hare Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Questions? Jada Bharat had no guru. No. Jada Bharat himself? No, there is no description that he had a guru. Well, yes. Yes. So two lives before he had a guru. That as a son, Bharat, he had, as Mahakrishna points out, he was listening to his father, who instructed his 100 sons, and that father happened to be the Supreme Personality God of himself. So naturally, the father was also the guru, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also kind of a guru to Bhaktisiddhanta, although he took Diksha from someone else, Gorkishore Das Babaji, but still he was also a Shiksha Guru. So, yes. So sometimes, usually we have to accept the spiritual master in this life, but in some cases, someone may have already accepted the Guru in previous lives and is still connected with that Guru and continues that relationship, and may not accept the Guru in this life. But that's rare. Like these are usually, even if you had gurus in the past and you have a connection, you may still accept another sadhu, and then the original guru will act through that sadhu. No, you may accept someone as your guru, but actually that your eternal guru, which you also have a connection in the spiritual world, may act through that sadhu, and your true relationship might be someone else. That might be there. Yeah. Yes, the eternal spiritual master.
I was listening to your lecture on the phone.
Uh-huh.
It's very soft. I have the old phone like this in the car.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
This was how I was driving.
Okay.
That was very nice lecture. Thanks.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question. When you say the method devotion is the acceptance of devotion service, one refers to this like material distress disappears.
Kleshakni. Yes.
So I just want to ask you from your perspective, how do you deal with having actually very sincere devotees been in temples for such a long time and having such huge problems?
Here it says, Kleshakni, all the miseries disappear. And now we see devotees are suffering like anything. How is it possible? Contradiction. Well, whoever has accepted the spiritual master, whoever has basically who's practicing devotional service, basically we have a ticket in our hands, going back home, back to Godhead. We are on the way to end the cycle of birth and death. As a conditioned soul, we may have been in this material world since time immemorial, millions of lifetimes, undergoing all kind of suffering. And now we have accepted the Guru, and now we are more going towards Goloka Vrindavan. So from that perspective, all the miseries have ended now, because we are preparing to return back home, back to Godhead. And yes, on the way, due to our karma that we are still having with us, like we understand at time of initiation, the Guru removes all the karma, but Guru and Krishna, they keep some remaining karma just to purify ourselves. So whatever suffering we experience after initiation is to be understood as Krishna's mercy. I mean, it's anyway, everything is Krishna's mercy, but specifically after initiation, Guru and Krishna use our karma to purify our heart, but that's just for our benefit. So in that sense, the devotee does not really see it as suffering, but he sees it as Krishna's mercy. It's a very high level. It's easier said than applied, but that's the understanding. Because an ordinary person is also suffering. I mean, so many people suffer so much, right? Outside, they suffer so much, but their suffering in a way is meaningless, because it's just the cycle of birth and death. You know, like punya and papa. Punya it's described as like a wheel who goes up and down, up and down. So in some life we are pious, and next life we are sinful, and we are pious and sinful. And according to our activities, we suffer and we enjoy. We suffer and enjoy. And it just goes up and down without any meaning. That's real suffering. But as a devotee, we have crossed this cycle, and now we're going towards the spiritual world, and we just have to go through some remaining karma to, wash off the dirt from our heart. So that's a completely different situation. That's why all Shubhata, all auspiciousness has arisen now in our life. Even though we may not always see it that way, but we should have faith that this is the fact. We are extremely fortunate. I mean, actually, we cannot really understand how fortunate we are. And if we properly would understand how fortunate we are, we would be completely blissful every moment. There would be no question of any mental, just understanding where we are heading towards, we would be completely blissful. Yes. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
May I add a thought there?
Yes.
The sentence of pure devotional services that the Dreamer so uses, so if you're already on the platform of pure devotional service, of course you can have pain, but pain is not the suffering. Yeah, it's obvious that if you're on the stage of pure devotional service, that suffering cannot, no, pain cannot influence you like when you're doing other things. They have so much pain that they are in complete bliss.
Yeah, if one actually has attained then the higher levels of devotion, then one does not identify with the body anymore and is completely in a consciousness of the soul, and even if pain is there, it's not affecting the sadhu as much as an ordinary person. Yeah, that's another way to look at it. Yeah.
Can you tell me which verse it is again?
Which verse?
Describes this sixth sign.
Oh, it's in chapter 1 of Nectar of Devotion. Prabhupada doesn't give us verses in the sense that because it's a summary study. If you want to have the exact verse, you would have to go through the original text of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And yeah, but it's in chapter 1. And Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it would be text 1, most probably somewhere around 20. 25 or so. Alright, thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Gaur Bhakti Vrinda ki jai.